much expectation, and I know you are a member of the Pan-African Parliament from the continent, but the accusation has always been that our relationship with the US is always with a begging bowl, and I think that has been captured by the cartoon on the Daily Nation today, that that's the best relationship Africa has with the US. But when it's Trump in power, he's least interested in our begging behavior. This is a depiction of our relationship. Africa depicted there outside the fence to the White House, Trump talking through the window, and there's a notice, invited guests only. So Africa is not even invited. Can this relationship ever change?
We have had a challenge. Speaking from the African Parliament's perspective, we've had a big challenge because unlike the European Union, who negotiate their trade pacts, their foreign relations as a group on the global table, Africa tends to be disjointed, so that you don't have the African Union going to the global table for negotiations as Africa Union. So countries that see this weakness have always taken advantage of this weakness. So then you have the Chinese calling individual African heads of state to a China-Africa conference. And then you have the French president, Macron, calling African presidents there. And I remember several of these countries, you know, calling Africa to go to discussions, but not as Africa Union. They call all those presidents. And this has become a very big issue with us at the Parliament of Africa. And we were hoping that it would change, because a red flag was raised at some point when, during the inauguration of the new King of England, some African heads of state raised the issue. Why are we put in a bus when some other heads of states, like the American head of state, was put in his own vehicle? Why are we being treated like this? So we have a challenge that we are not united when we go to discuss issues at the global table. Mm-hmm. And that is why America would treat us differently from, say, the European Union. China on its own, it doesn't need any friend. On its own is big enough. Russia is big enough. But then Africa needs to be together. And for us, this is an aspiration, and we continue to push it. And our prayer is that we will make progress. Okay. But yes, because we are small states with very little economic power on our own, standing individual states, America takes advantage of us. Europe, the European Union takes advantage of us. China takes advantage of us. So it is our hope that with the new dispensation, with our new Africa Union chairman, for example, and maybe a stronger Africa Union, we will achieve some of the things. For example, sitting at the United Nations Security Council. That's something that Africa has longed for a long time. And I think the way it is going, we might get a seat. Then the question is, which country will sit there? Is it Kenya? Is it even within ourselves? We've
had an opportunity to sit there before.
No, like a permanent seat now for Africa. That's what we have been agitating for. So we have a challenge, and I know Donald Trump will take advantage of this, because if he comes and he's meeting Uganda, he's meeting South Africa, he's meeting Kenya, he's meeting Morocco alone, he has the advantage. And by the way, let me give you one last point on that. America, when they go for trade negotiations, they will fill this house with like 30 negotiators, and they are there negotiating for their trade pacts. You, in Kenya, maybe you have only 2 guys who are qualified and who go for those negotiations. When you reach there, you find other African countries with even smaller numbers. So even to come together to beat or to get trade pacts that are favorable to us is a struggle. These are the realities that we are living with.
It has always been assumed, Bwana Pugisio, that a democracy